Welcome to Beyond the Backroads, the podcast where forgotten towns, haunted highways, and small town legends refuse to stay buried. Out here, the shadows move a little differently. Every backroad has a secret. Every quiet place has a story it wants to tell. We take you past the city limits, into the places where history, mystery, and the unexplained blur together. Some of what you'll hear is strange, some is unsettling, and some, well, might just keep you up at night. So buckle up, we're heading beyond the backroads.
Welcome to Beyond the Backroads.
High in the Garnet Mountains, about 6,000 feet up, there's a town that shouldn't still be standing. The boards are warped, the windows are black, the doors don't stay shut, but the buildings, they're still there. This is Garnet, Montana, one of the best preserved ghost towns in the American West.
Back in 1890s, this wasn't a quiet place at all. It was loud, busy. Gold had been spotted in these hills since 1860s. But when Nancy Hanks' mine hit a big vein, everything changed. People came rushing in, prospectors, families, gamblers, bar owners, the desperate, the hopeful. Garnet became a town of glittering promise and very real shadows.
They named it after the red stones found in the rock, and by 1898, Garnet was booming. Somewhere between 1,000 and 1,300 people lived here. 4 hotels, 13 saloons, a school, 3 stables, a general store that sold everything from flour to boots. This wasn't a town built for peace. This was a town built on adrenaline.
But like every gold rush story, the glitter doesn't last long. The mines drained fast, money dried up, families left. A fire hit the town in 1910s, another in the 1930s. Some people rebuilt, most didn't. By the late 1940s, Garnet was almost completely empty. The town didn't die in one dramatic moment. It faded in that slow, eerie way ghost towns do.
Before Garnet became a ghost town, it was a promise. Gold was discovered here in the 1890s, tucked deep into the mountains of western Montana. And like so many boomtowns before it, Garnet grew fast. Miners arrived first, then merchants, then families. By the early 1900s, Garnet had stores, a hotel, saloons, a schoolhouse, and hundreds of residents who believed this place would last.
But Garnet didn't die suddenly. It faded, one winter at a time, one mine closing at one time, a family packing up and leaving, while others stayed behind, convinced the town would rebound. That's part of what makes Garnet different. It didn't disappear, it lingered.
One thing that separates Garnet from other ghost towns is how long people stayed after they should have left. Even when the mines stopped producing, even when the fires gutted buildings, even when the winter made survival a gamble, some residents stayed. Not because they believed Garnet would recover, but because they didn't know who they were without it.
Local records mention older residents who refused relocation assistance. People had already lost too much to start over somewhere else. They stayed in cabins, they barely held heat. They stayed when the school closed. They stayed when supply wagons stopped coming. And when those people finally disappeared from the records, no one knows exactly when they left, or if they did at all.
It's something locals still talk about. Not who lived in Garnet, but who never officially left. And then something unusual happened. Instead of collapsing completely, Garnet held on. The buildings refused to fall. When the BLM stepped in the early 1970s, they didn't restore it, they froze it in time. They called it arrested decay. So the saloons still stand, the hotel still leans over the street, cabins still sit with shoes under the bed and dishes in the cupboards. Garnet isn't staged, it's abandoned in place, which makes it feel wrong, like the people didn't leave willingly, like they stepped out just for a moment and never came back.
And getting up there sets the mood before you even arrive. 11 miles of dirt road, switchbacks, no cell service, thick trees that swallow the light. Then suddenly, the forest opens, and you see the buildings, silent, still, watching. Garnet may be empty, but it does not feel alone. The winter of 1911 is often cited as the moment Garnet truly died. snow piled higher than their door frames. Supply routes collapsed. Miners were trapped in for weeks at a time. Several men never made it out of the mines when a partial collapse sealed the tunnels shut. Officially, records say that the bodies were recovered. Unofficially, locals say some weren't. And from that point on, Garnet was never the same.
People who lived nearby said something else stayed with them long after Garnet emptied. Lights. Lantern light in windows years after the last official residents had gone. No power, no fuel, no explanation. Some locals believed squatters were living there. Others said the lights moved window to window too deliberately to be random. So let's start with the building that gets the most reports, Kelly's Saloon. Back in the day, it was rowdy. Whiskey, music, bar fights, laughter. Later, someone turned it into a private home, wallpapered with old newspapers. Today, it's one of the loudest, quiet buildings in Montana. Caretakers swear that in the dead of winter, when they're the only person living in Garnet, they hear music coming from Kelly's. A piano, voices, laughter, just faint enough to make your skin crawl.
Imagine being the winter caretaker. You're alone, snow is a foot deep, the road is closed. You finished your nightly walk, head back to your cabin, and behind you, a piano starts playing inside the saloon. Just a few notes, off-key, but steady. You freeze, turn around. The windows are black, the sound stops. Nothing but cold air between you and the empty building.
Others say they hear footsteps pacing upstairs, back and forth, sharp heel to toe thuds. But when they walk inside to check, dust, silence, no footprints. Like someone walked there but doesn't leave tracks anymore.
Visitors who stay past sunset say Garnet changes, not visually, but emotionally. The air feels heavier, sounds don't carry the same way, and people describe an immediate sense of being out of place.
Caretakers say the town feels occupied at night, not crowded, not loud, occupied, as if something is aware that you're there and hasn't decided what to do about it yet.
Multiple visitors have reported footsteps following them along the boardwalk, slow, measured, always staying just behind. They stop when you stop. They start when you start. But when you turn around, no one.
One man said the sound followed him from Kelly's saloon all the way to the hotel. He said it felt like someone walking beside him, not behind him, matching his pace perfectly. When he finally looked down, there were only his footprints in the dust.
Then there's the J.K. Wells Hotel. It's enormous, 3 stories, and it is not quiet. People report doors slamming upstairs when the buildings are locked. Footsteps follow them down the hallway, whispers in the rooms, and haven't held a guest in over a century.
One woman in white, some call her Simone, is said to stand near an upstairs window, perfume filling the room, soft footsteps behind you, but when you turn, just an empty corridor stretching into darkness.
One winter visitor described something even stranger, footsteps in the snow following them, crunching behind him in perfect rhythm. Every step he took, something took one too. He turned around, only his own tracks behind him. He left immediately. The schoolhouse has its own personality. People hear a woman shouting, "Enough!" Children laughing, a desk scraping across the floor, soft crying from the inside the classroom, all in a building that has been empty for nearly a century.
And inside, dust, silence, light through broken windows, like whatever made the sound wasn't physical at all. Garnet had children, and when families left, not every story came with closure. Visitors report hearing small footsteps in buildings too narrow for adults, laughter echoing between cabins, the sound of running that stops abruptly, like someone remembered they weren't supposed to be heard.
One caretaker said they found a child's shoe placed neatly on the stair. Not kicked off, not dropped, placed. It was gone the next day.
Another visitor claimed they heard whispering that sounded like counting, numbers spoken softly, over and over, near the schoolhouse, like someone practicing lessons that never ended. And then we have the faces in the windows. Visitors swear they've seen silhouettes in the Wells Hotel, someone watching from the top floor, sometimes turning away. Caretakers have seen figures crossing doorways in Kelly's, like men making their rounds between bar and table, lantern lights bobbing across the hillside at night, moving like someone is walking with them. When hikers investigate, no lights, no tracks, no one.
Even people who don't believe in ghosts admit the same thing. Garnet doesn't feel like a place that's dead. It feels like a place that's waiting. For what? For who? No one knows. There are mine shafts around Garnet that locals warn people not to approach. Not because of collapse, not because of unstable ground, but because people report overwhelming panic the closer they get.
It's not fear, it's physical. Sudden nausea, dizziness, a pounding heart, and the feeling of being pulled forward, like something behind you is pushing and something ahead of you is pulling at the same time.
Several hikers have reported losing time near one specific shaft. 10 minutes felt like an hour. No one agrees on what happened, only that every single person left immediately, and none of them went back. There's one mine locals won't point out directly, not because it's dangerous, but because everyone who's been near it describes the same reaction. Panic, not fear, not anxiety, but panic.
Some describe hearing breathing behind them. Others say they felt hands on their back. Everyone leaves. No one stays long enough to investigate. Today, Garnet is a tourist site, a preserved ghost town. You can walk the street, read the signs, peer into the hotel rooms. It looks harmless during the day, quiet, pretty, like a mountain postcard. But the second you linger alone, the energy changes. History starts to feel alive.
You walk onto the boardwalk, the wood groans under your weight. You peek into the saloon window, chairs still pushed back, like someone just stood up. Look inside a cabin, coat still hanging near the door, dishes still stacked, a single boot under a bed, frozen lives, frozen moments, a whole town that looks like it left in a hurry without. Park staff rarely speak publicly about Garnet after dark, but unofficially, several have shared the same experiences. Radios malfunctioning near the mines, voices bleeding through the static, lantern lights moving through the trees, steady, deliberate, like someone walking with purpose.
One ranger reportedly quit after encountering what he described as a man covered in soot standing near the trailhead. When approached, the figure vanished. People who spend extended time in Garnet say the town seems to react. Cameras malfunction, batteries drain faster than expected, lanterns flicker even on clear nights, like someone's passing in front of them.
One ranger said it felt like the town was closing in, not physically, but emotionally, like it was getting harder to breathe the longer he stayed. He did not return.
And if you close your eyes, you feel it. That pressure in the air, that sense of being watched, that weight behind you just out of sight. Garnet is haunted, not just by ghosts, but by endings, by the speed at which life collapsed here, by all the people who walked away from a mountain full of broken promises. That kind of energy, it doesn't just disappear. Some ghost towns feel empty. Garnet does not. It feels paused, like life stopped mid-motion and never restarted.
It wasn't destroyed. It wasn't erased. It wasn't buried. It was preserved. And when you preserve a place like that, you preserve everything. You can stay overnight in one of the cabins in the winter. Snow falling, no cars, no phone service, just you and 30 buildings holding their breath. You step outside, look down the street, and swear you see movement inside the hotel window. But it flickers, it disappears. Maybe the light caught something, maybe someone did.
That's the thing about Garnet. Even if every ghost story is wrong, the place still feels haunted. Haunted by hope, haunted by failure, haunted by people who wanted something they couldn't find. The walls hold the weight of lives paused mid-step, and sometimes, when the wind is just right, the past feels close enough to touch.
Garnet isn't just a ghost town. It's a town that remembers, a town that listens, a town that waits. And if the stories are true, it's a town that doesn't like being alone.
There are more roads out there, more stories waiting just off the map. And we'll keep following them, one place, one legend, one back road at a time. You can find Beyond the Backroads on YouTube and Instagram at Beyond the Backroads Podcast. And if there's a story you think we should hear, email us anytime at beyondthebackroadspodcast@gmail.com. We follow the backroads so you don't have to.
We will see you next time.